John Burke, even people that know Indian photography have never heard of John Burke. The problem was that he didn't live in Calcutta, which was the capital of India at the time. It wasn't Delhi, it was Calcutta, it was the capital originally. But he lived in Peshawar, which is not even in India now, it's in Pakistan, right on the very furthest borders of the British Empire. And he was an Irishman. At the age of 12 or maybe 14, I don't really know, he goes with his father to India. His father joins the British Army. There's no mention of any other family at that time at all. It's just after the Irish famine. Did the rest of his family die in the famine? Did his family die in the famine? I don't know. I spent 2 years trying to find out the secrets of this man's life. What we do know is that he was living in Peshawar and Rawalpindi, and he was working as a social photographer. He was photographing children's parties, cricket matches, tennis club events, and medal parades, soldiers, portraits of soldiers. Because in this little border town, there is a border soldier force, a frontier force, of very hardened British soldiers who are continually fighting on the frontier against the Afghans. Little, small wars against the Afghans. So John Burke is brought up into this world of Christmas parties. That's how he builds his business, by appearing at all these things, children's parties and cricket clubs and things like that. So it's very natural that when these soldiers go to Afghanistan and invade Afghanistan in what becomes the Second Anglo-Afghan War, when those soldiers leave, it's completely normal that he would go with them. They're his customers, why wouldn't he go with them? So he goes to Afghanistan in 1878 and he makes the first ever pictures made in Afghanistan. But the other context in which he's working is in this tremendous upswelling of kind of raging nationalist patriotism in the United Kingdom. In particular, Rudyard Kipling, who wrote, If and the Jungle Book, is the kind of cheerleader of English nationalism. And he writes, "When you're wounded and left on Afghanistan's plains, and the women come out to cut up what remains, just roll on your rifle and blow out your brains and go to your God like a soldier." It's the kind of drumbeat kind of poetry, this kind of drumbeat of war that the English are building up. When I first saw John Burke's pictures, it seemed to me that they were almost quite familiar to me. This is one of Burke's pictures of the castle, the citadel, in the centre of Kabul. It's called the Bala Hissar. And this is a picture made after the British captured the citadel. These are British soldiers standing on the ramp. There's a horse here, a British soldier on a horse. And it's a picture of the capture of this fortress when the British took control of Kabul. And I don't remember, about 2 months ago, there was an American soldier who went out of his base at night and he massacred a village. I saw this picture on the BBC, which is a picture of Hamid Karzai meeting the families of the survivors of that massacre. And on the wall is John Burke's picture, sort of. Because in actual fact, it's been Afghaned. Because instead of British soldiers standing on the ramp, there's now Afghan soldiers. There's now an Afghan horseman galloping out of the castle. And the castle is now flying the flag of the modern Afghan state. Now, I don't expect British soldiers or American soldiers to know anything about history. They're soldiers, it's not their job. But one thing that's for certain is that Afghans know all about their history. They know the names of the battles, they know who was the Afghans who cheated on them and sided with the British, they know who carried out the massacres, and they name their children after them, they name the main streets after them in their towns, and they put up statues to them. For them, all of this history is very much alive. It's only for us that it's something inert and dead in our background.